I said yesterday that when I talked about the subject of wealth of government officials, I was going to try and be even-handed, and I believe I'm going to follow through with that when I talk about the subject on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics today. I'm your host, I'm Kurt, and today is Wednesday, the 13th of October of 2021. Welcome to everyone who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube. Thank you for coming today and visiting with me. Remember, Rumble is my preferred platform. It's the thing that I would rather see folks on and have them watch me on. The subject for today, again, is wealth of government officials, and I'm going to go through my notes in order to try and clarify what where I'm starting from. Look, it's fair to say that many government officials were well off before they found their way into government service. It's also possible that an enterprise begun or investment made prior to, or for investments even during, but mostly before entering public life could work out well. There's a bit of concern over whether an official is slanted toward what would help his or her wealth. In my way of looking at things, that should always be carefully monitored. All of this considered, one has to ask oneself how people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez become wealthy serving in the U.S. Congress. And I'm not sure about Cortez right at this moment, whether she's what folks would consider wealthy. She certainly seems to be living pretty high off the hog, I'll say that. Sometimes it's legitimate. I would be willing to bet other times that couldn't be further from the case. We know people like Donald Trump and John Kerry got how they got their wealth. We know that. How about folks like Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, though? We need to stop assuming they became well off as a result of pinching pennies and exorbitant salaries. That's just not how that works. It's highly unlikely either is the case. We also need to talk about people leaving office and joining entities to lobby the government with no more experience than knowing the ropes in government. While we're at it, how about we seriously discuss maybe something like a constitutional amendment to create and enforce term limits for at least national senators and representatives? And I'll try and get into how we can actually go about that as we go along. One thing we definitely need to do, figure out how so very many people who seem to enter Congress with little to nothing leave wealthy, or worse yet, stay after somehow amassing a fortune. These are questions for which answers should be forthcoming, and maybe charges and jail time. In the end, though, the real question is, what do we do to keep this from being an issue at present and in the future? I have some ideas that I'm going to try and get into in my little video today. I want to start, though, again, by stating a sort of an even-handed perspective. Look, when you talk about people like John Kerry, he married into a fortune. That's how he's wealthy. We know this. That's not a question. When you talk about somebody like Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton, you have to sort of wonder, and the same is true for Obama. Neither of them was wealthy, as far as I know, before they came into office, yet by the time they left, they both were. By the time they left office, what they did afterwards, well, yeah, of course that's going to pad their pockets. Writing books and doing hundreds of thousands in speaking fees and various things of that sort. Of course that's going to pad their pockets, there's no doubt. And again, if Ocasio-Cortez is living like it looks like she is, whether she's wealthy or not, she certainly seems to be living like it. She certainly seems to be living like a person who's fat and happy. Particularly when you compare her to somebody like me. And I make okay money. But at this point, I'm struggling, not horribly badly, not like a lot of people I know, but I'm struggling to actually amass a little bit of wealth by this point in time. That doesn't seem to be a problem for her, because either she has the wealth or people treat her like she does, one or the other, so it doesn't very much matter. What I want to say, though, is I think we're focusing a lot on the wrong thing where that's concerned. Now, to be fair, again, some of these people, I think they need investigated, I think they need charged, and I think they need jailed. And I really question why more of that isn't happening. Oh, I wanted to get into to the idea of term limits because I think that's an important thing. I'm going to say something. I think just about anybody coming in and staying for any length of time in Congress is likely to become tainted. There are a few people I can think of who that's probably not true for. One example would be the Paul family, Ron and Rand Paul. I don't think either of them is that way. I could be wrong. I could find out that I'm mistaken about that. But most of the people who are in there, I kind of go, Tom Cotton, maybe not. Tom Cotton, maybe not. And I say that from a position of a person in Arkansas, and therefore somebody who's sort of represented by that individual as much as any of them represent me. But my point is to say that we need to be looking at ways. Oh, and so I wanted also to get into this idea of the term limits thing. We have this idea, we have this potential to pass, I'm pretty sure, to pass amendments to the Constitution without the approval of Congress. I'm pretty sure that's true. If we can get, I think it's 2/3 or whatever, the states, I think we're there. I think we can do it. And I really believe that for congressional individuals, they need to be term limited. And I don't care how much you like them. I don't care how much you like them. Over the course of time, I'm pretty sure just about anybody, at least it's possible they're going to get tainted, and I think we need to term limit those people out. So I think the article, I forget which article, but the Convention of States that you're going to hear a lot of people talking about might be promising to actually modify amendments or modify the Constitution itself. But if nothing else, modify amendments to the Constitution, and I think that we ought to consider doing that. Now, I'm going to say this again. I think that there are a lot of people who, before they ever walked into office, became wealthy, and I think some of them didn't really gain all that much wealth while they were in office, but after they left office, suddenly they found themselves in lucrative positions. And I'm not as upset by that, though it still bothers me some, that there are people who leave Congress, become a worker at some company who lobbies Congress, and because they know the ropes and because they know people in Congress, they're able to do that quite successfully for quite a lot of money. I believe that there are other people whose families skirt the law by doing things that they really shouldn't be doing. Joe Biden. Let's go. No, I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to do it. I could, but I'm not going to. Anyway, the point is, I believe that there are people who are skirting the law with regard to that. But here's what I want for folks to understand. And I really want for you to understand this because it's super, super, super important. If you vote people into office who have no business being there because they're not going to act as statesmen, because they're not going to try and put their best foot forward, because they're not going to represent your interests when they get there, some of that is on the system, I'll grant you. But the thing is, if you let it happen without kicking up a fuss, I got news for you. You are part of the problem. I think it was Jefferson, I'm not certain, who talked about the idea of an uninformed electorate being such a problem. But whoever it was, I'll promise you this, they were absolutely correct. There's absolutely no question that I can come up with that says, well, why would you say that? No. If you're voting people into office and not caring who they are, if you're a voter and you're voting people into office and you don't care who they are, or you don't pay attention to who they are, or you allow them to win primaries without a fight over people who are more principled, more scrupulous individuals, that is to some degree, not totally because there are some other issues that need to be taken care of, but that is to some degree your fault. And I think you can see that again by looking at people like Rand and Ron Paul. And let me be clear on something. I consider both Ron and Rand to be very, very scrupulous in what they say and do. But that does not mean I completely agree with them. But I'm just saying to you, I think we need to worry some about people getting rich in Congress and potentially take the time to look at it and potentially, like I say, throw charges down on people who have obviously abused their government power. But the more important thing to me is know who you are electing. All right, I need to go ahead and wrap up because I'm already over that 10-minute mark from my perspective. This is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Wednesday, the 13th of October of 2021. Tomorrow will be then Thursday, the 14th of October of 2021, working a little bit closer to that weekend, we being on that middle of the weekday today, middle of the work weekday for most people. Thank you for joining me on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. Yay, made it without saying welcome. Remember that Rumble is my preferred platform. You can give me a boxing glove or a plus on Rumble as a positive feedback. You can give me a minus as a negative feedback if you feel the need to do that. You can give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's a positive feedback in the thumbs up and a negative on the thumbs down. On YouTube, if you choose to do that, and wherever you're able to, go ahead and comment. Let me know how you feel about what I'm doing and saying. That's always helpful to me, and it might even give me some things to think about that will make more cogent, more reasonable things come out of my mouth when I do my videos. Today's subject has been wealth of government officials, and tomorrow we're going to talk about the subject of the perfect leader. And I want to talk about this with regard to something that Dinesh D'Souza got into, where he talked about what others, Dante and I think it was Madison, had to say about that. And I will tell you that whichever of the founding fathers he was talking about, that founder I have a whole lot more respect for than what I believe was Dante with regard to that. In any case, I need to go ahead and wrap this up. As I say, I hope you're having a good day today. I hope your day tomorrow is excellent as well. I hope that things are going well for you in general. I'm seeing a lot of people pass away in my little neck of the woods, and that saddens me a little bit. But other than that, things are going generally fairly well. Hopefully we will see you, though, on Thursday's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Wednesday, October 13th of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, and maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.